Hi, this is Monica and welcome back to my channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. And today, honey, I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back to when I left my high school to go to an alternative school and why. And we're going to start this series of my neighborhood and my school days. So sit back and relax. And you probably going to need a drink for this one. Because listen, this one got parts and parts and parts. So sit back and relax. And like, comment, and subscribe. And share this video. Because, honey, y'all are in for a treat. Okay, boys and girls. You already know what we're doing. We having a sip. Now, we're not just having a sip. Because, see, I could talk to y'all about a lot of stuff. But because people are asking me questions and y'all jogging my memory, I want to talk about something I have never touched on. My high school days when I was going to high school. Now, listen. Even though I have been going through it as far as being called ugly, about us being poor and cereal and all this other stuff, I still had a normal high school life. Like, I had friends. I had, like, friends that was actual friends. Like, but my friends was dudes, and they were bad as shit. Now, keep in mind, I started my 10th grade year at Dunbar. Everything was going fine until I ran into a bully. When I say I ran into a bully, she was actually in my choir class. And my choir class was like 4th period or something like that. I'm almost thinking it was like 4th or 5th period. She was in my class. Now, she didn't like me because of the boys that was in the back row. That was the baritones. And two of them, one's name was Darren, and the other one's name, I want to say his name was either Michael or something like this, but it was spelled differently. These boys, every time I would come into the class, because I was always tall, I always had big boobs like that one that was just hanging out. I always had big boobs, and I always had like a big personality. But every time I would walk into class, into the choir class, when you had to walk in, you had to sing a part of a song to get in the class. So I would sing, I couldn't sing worth a damn. Don't judge me, girl. Don't judge me. But I couldn't sing. But it was this girl, and I think her name was Deidre. I want to say her name was Deidre. But she was a tall girl too. But see, by me being in the 10th grade, I didn't know them dudes. I knew them from class, but I didn't know them out in the streets or nothing like that, or in the neighborhood, because they actually stayed off of William Street. They stayed across the bridge. And when I say across the bridge, this was like 6 blocks away where my mom didn't permit us to go. This is the reason why I didn't know those kids down there. So, but Monique knew them because they was in her class. But nevertheless, the girl didn't like me. So every time I would come in there, she had something to say slickly. She wouldn't say it directly to me, but everybody in the choir class was like scared of her, whatever the case may be. By me not knowing her and being in the 10th grade, I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought she had a big mouth. But no, she called herself being a bully. And a bully. Now, because I didn't know her, I really didn't pay no attention. Now, keep in mind, she had friends that was in there. Y'all know what it was like to go to high school. Y'all know. Y'all had the very, very, very cute girls. The conceited girls, the girls that don't get dirty. Then you had the girls that was right underneath them that wanted to be friends with them, but they really didn't make the team because some of them was the cheerleaders or majorettes or some shit like this, but they always was on the honor roll. But they were like the cutie patooties. And then you had the ones that was underneath them was the Rudy Tooties. And then you had like the regular kids, and then you had me. Now keep in mind, when I was in the 10th grade, I was already working at McDonald's. So I was buying me clothes. Now keep in mind, back then it was the tore up jeans with the Jodeci boots, and the salt and pepper hairdo or braids pulled all the way up into a fountain and pulled down. You know how that go. So this is what we was doing. This is how we was dressing, with the big earrings with your name inside, or I say sexy or something like this, but they was either triangle or they was round. You had on a lot of jewelry because, see, we was listening to like Slick Rick, Lottie Dottie, and stuff like this. This is what time we was in. We was into like NWA had just came out, and we was like, that was the shit. You know what I'm saying? So we was listening to that, the DOC and stuff like this. This is what we was listening to. But at the end of the day, we was still riding the bus, but it was like different kinds of kids. So I was that girl that always wasn't too friendly. The girls didn't like me because the boys was my friends. But I was like that friend that always had something smart to say. Or I was always joking. Or I was always loud and disruptive. But I was only loud and disruptive around the kids that I hung around. Now, this girl still, it pissed her off that these dudes that was in the back, that was in Monique's class, that they wanted to actually find a reason to have a conversation with me. Like, I would get in there and one of them would be like, well, Monica, did you bring your, or Monica, do you got that? Oh, I know Monica got some gum, or stuff like this. This is the way that they wanted to find out more about me, because I would not spill my life or tell them anything about me, but they knew that Mary King was my mom. They knew where my house was. They knew that we sit on the porch. So they had to be one of the people that was riding past and seeing us on the porch. Now keep in mind, they had like Jerry curls. I had like my braids was pulled up and stuff like this, but I had on the jeans and the little gym shoes and stuff like this. They wasn't expensive, but they was clean. About like I am now. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, she didn't like me. She didn't like me, and neither did her friend. That one of the stuck-up girls was her friend. And the stuck-up girl would get to the class. Okay, so her friend, the stuck-up girl, would get to class first. When she would get to class, she would save her seat. She would put her book bag in the seat where she wanted her to sit at. Now, keep in mind, I was going to like the middle of the class, but to the left. I was an alto. I wasn't a soprano. She was an alto. The girl that didn't like me, she was an alto. But her friend was a soprano. But the dudes was baritones and all that, they deep voice stuff, you know. They were over there. So I had to sit in the middle of the class. Now, keep in mind, there was only one white student there. And they loved him so much that they kicked it with him, and he was like real shy or whatever. Now, when the friend got to the classroom first and picked her seat, I would come in, sing my little stuff, and I would go into the middle of the thing. But I wasn't talking to them. I had a friend named Bill. Bill was in the choir too. But Bill was the type of person that he was funny. When I say funny, he had something funny to say all the time, but he was genuinely my friend. But his name was William, but we called him Bill. And he would he would have jokes after jokes after jokes. And believe it or not, he looked like the Brown Hornet. I don't give a damn what nobody say. This boy looked like the Brown Hornet. Okay, by him being looked like the Brown Hornet, I thought he was so hilarious because he knew how to get everybody in trouble, especially me. Now, keep in mind, when I said that the girls was like A students and stuff like this, I was like A minus, B, C, and D, you know. But nevertheless, I always skip gym. But I will always go to choir, and I will always be into government and social studies. Now, I don't know why I liked those classes, but I did. I had honors in both. You know what I'm saying? But I was the kind of kid that, listen, when it was kicking time, it was kicking. So this one particular time, I was walking into the class. She had already got there, the bully. She had already got there, and she walked through the door while she was walking out the door when I was walking in, and she bumped into me. Everybody saw what she had did, and they was like, ooh, like that. I just looked at her, and I just went on about my business because I didn't know her. She knew my sister, but she didn't know me. But she knew that these dudes was trying to say something to me. I don't think they was trying to talk to me. I think they was trying to be nosy because my mom's porch was everything back then. So if you wasn't sitting on my mom's porch, you wasn't nobody. Okay, so at the end of the day, they had seen me sitting on my mom's porch. They wanted to know more about me because my mom was not on that. You couldn't get no hoo-ha over Mary King house. No. You had to beat the street light. It was going down. This girl still didn't like me for no reason. Well, she ended up coming back to the class. I don't know what she had left out for, but she ended up coming back to the class. So choir was going on or whatever the case may be. Now, this went on for maybe like a semester or something like this. But I ended up still having choir, but a different period the next semester. So me and her wasn't in the same choir class anymore. But I had heard that she had been telling them, yeah, she gonna fight me. Yeah, she gonna fight me. See, at Dunbar back then, the old Dunbar school, because they rebuilt it. The old Dunbar school had a glass office. The main office had a glass. It was made out of glass, so you could see straight in the office. So if you was in trouble and they seen you sitting, they could see everything because it was glass. So it wasn't where you couldn't see out of it. You could actually see into the office. So this one particular time, she had been telling these people that she was going to do this, she was going to do that to me. She was going to say what she needed to say to me behind this boy named Darren, which I did not. When I say I ended up talking to him, that's in another story, honey, because we did talk. But he had like dark brown hair. But it, by being in a jerry curl, it looked it kind of like darkish brown. But his eyes was naturally green. And he was dark-skinned. And he was tall. And she absolutely loved him. When I say she loved him, she actually was in love with this boy. I never thought of him like that because I had seen him a couple of times at school, but I never gave a damn who he was because I was so busy laughing with the people that I hung out with that I enjoyed my high school year. I wasn't on her arguing with me over some dude because I wasn't doing nothing with him. He wasn't doing nothing with me. All he had kept doing was speaking. But this was enough to piss her off. This is enough to piss her off. Now, keep in mind, I went to Dunbar my 10th grade year. So fast forward, going towards like the end of the school year, not really, but like maybe a couple of months, I knew I was going to 11th grade. I had to retake gym, so I had to get a credit for that or whatever the case may be. But we ended up having an altercation, the reason why I ended up at alternative school. Now, all that year, she had been picking. But my friend Bill had a friend named Dorian. Dorian actually became my friend like maybe mid-school year or whatever the case may be. Dorian was kind of laid back. He wasn't a cute kid. He wasn't an ugly kid. Had really good hair, but he grew up poor just like I did. But remember I told y'all I was working at McDonald's, so I was buying myself clothes. I did a favor for Dorian. He didn't. Okay, well, by me working at McDonald's, I was picking up hours after school, and then on the weekends I would work from in the morning to like mid shift, like maybe 6 in the evening or 7 in the evening, maybe a 12-hour shift, something like this. But that's what I did. But I noticed that Dorian needed shoes, and I noticed that Dorian only had like maybe 3 pair of pants. So I took my check, and I bought me a couple of things. I paid my mom, because we had to pay Mary King rent after we had started working. $80 every time we got paid. So we had to pay her that. Now, keep in mind, I went and bought him 2 pair of pants, and I bought him some Adidas. And I put them in a bag, and I didn't want to give them to him at school. So what I did was I gave him to Bill. Bill got them, and he took them to his house. They would ride my school bus. We were at the same bus home. When he had the bag, him and Dorian got off at his house. Dorian only lived like maybe 2 blocks from him, but Dorian and Bill didn't stay nowhere by me. They stayed off at 3rd, like going towards McCall, going towards Hoover. That's where they stayed. I stayed in Daytonview. That was Daytonview too. We all stayed in Daytonview, but different parts of Daytonview. But that's where we stayed. Well, I guess she had had enough. And we was getting ready to get out of school for the year. I only had a month left. So, but they always had this school called Longfellow. Longfellow was an alternative school, but normally back then, the pregnant girls, the girls that had kids, the pregnant girls, and the badass kids went to Longfellow, which was an alternative school. Okay, so I'm headed down the main hallway, and it's like going on 6th period. You already know it's hot outside, so the kids is riled up and stuff like this, but it wasn't the end of the school year. It was almost, but not really. I knew I needed a half a credit to get into the 11th grade. I had to retake gym so I can go do it. So I had came from gym class and I was trying to get to my next class. But when I was getting to my next class, I was passing through. When I was passing through the main hallway, she was coming up this way. I was coming down this way. When we met right there. We kind of met, not really, but I should have knew something was wrong because it was a crowd of kids that was following her and she was taking her jacket off. I should have been paying attention, but I wasn't really paying attention. And when I tell you, it happened so fast because it had to be, I feel like it had to be planned for her to come at me that day, because when I tell you this is what happened, this is what happened. Girl, We met right in front of the main office. It was a staircase right here. I'm coming from the front way. She coming this way. I'm coming this way. We meet right there in front of the office. When we meet up by the office, her little friend had all of her stuff in her hand. I'm still not paying attention. Me and Bill trying to get to 6th period. So when we get right there where the office door is at, she hauled off. When I tell you she caught me, she stunned me. I was stunned. She hit me in my mouth. Bow. When I say she hit me in my mouth, instantly I started leaking. When I tell you I went into like Mary King mode times 100, when she hit me, my lip automatically was busted. I had blood coming down my shirt. By this time, I done got so mad, I grabbed her by her hair. When I grab her by her hair, we get to fighting. And I mean, we not just regularly fighting, we going at it. It's going down. We tearing stuff up. It's stuff everywhere. She pulled one of my braids out. It's going down. We fighting. Okay, so by us fighting, I see Bill trying to grab me and somebody trying to grab her. She had a regular number 2 pencil in her hand. I will never fucking forget this. Excuse me for cussing. But I will never forget what she did. She took and she had the number 2 pencil in her hand like this. The whole time we fight and she got this pencil in her hand, I'm thinking to myself, she getting ready to stab me. I want y'all to see this. See that mark right? I don't know if I can see it right there, but it's a mark. It's a mark right there. Right here. I can't show you, but anyway, I got a mark on my arm. She stabbed me in my arm with the pencil. When she stabbed me in my arm with the pencil, all I could do, because I was already, my lip was already busted. My clothes was ruined. My hair was everywhere. Her hair was everywhere. I only grabbed her hair. She pulled one of my braids out at the top up here. But at the end of the day, honey, I grabbed her between her legs and I grabbed her. And when I tell you, I ran her right into that glass office and busted that glass office door. I broke the window. I broke the door off the office at Dunbar High School. When I say we hit the floor, when we hit the floor, we was still fighting. By this time, they didn't call Dayton police because A, I was stabbed. Blood was everywhere from my lip, but I was also bleeding from my arm. But when I tell you I had war wounds and she did too, bitch, you wasn't getting that off on me. You weren't getting that off on me. Yes, the fight continued to the office because was now. Hopefully TikTok don't ban me, because I'm thinking that they're going to ban me for that one because I don't want them to. Please, TikTok, leave me alone. But at the end of the day, they broke the fight up. We in the office. Now, we in the main office. We are in the conference room. She on one side of the table. I'm on the other side of the table. All she telling them, they telling her, like, why did you start the fight? Both of y'all is expelled. We not suspended. We got expelled. We got expelled out of Dayton Public Schools. We was expelled. When he said we was expelled, my heart hit the floor. I knew Mary King was going to kill me. So it was not, I had no other choice, but they re-hit her again. So when he said we was expelled, I politely turned around and told him, I said, I have to call my mom. She said something smart. I haul off and hit her behind. Again, it's on. So now we're fighting again. You know what I'm saying? So not only did they have the Dayton police there, but the school security was there. Mary King on her way. When my mom get up there, the girl's mom is up there. My mom is asking them what is going on. They trying to tell my mom that we both gonna have to pay for this office door. My mom like, I ain't paying for nothing. All I want to see is my child. All I want to see is my child. By this time, they done got a hold to Monique. Monique came down to the office. Monique ready. She ready, Freddie. Remember I told you about the friend. The friend that was her friend that was inquired that was saving her seat. This girl was talking mess in the hallway. She did not know that Monique was my sister and that I, need to keep this closed. But she didn't know that Monique was my sister. She was in the hallway talking a whole lot of what. So Monique sees her and hears her talking stuff. Monique grabs her book bag. And when she walked back, remember I told y'all Monique was left-handed. Monique grabbed her bag, when she swung the bag, she hit the girl in the face with the books. When Monique swung the book bag, she hit her in the face, boom, they fight. Monique got suspended. Monique got suspended because she knew that if my mama came there and I was the only one got into a fight, Monique was going to get in trouble because she didn't help me fight. But nevertheless, Mary King walked in, and she walked in there to try to figure out what was going on. They had told my mom that I was expelled from Dayton Public Schools. My mom said, get everything that you have and in this raggedy ass school and get your ass in the car. We're going to talk about it when we get home. Now, keep in mind, my lip was already busted, but it was purple by this time. It looked like Gladys Knight, you know what I'm saying? Not only that, but she had torn my shirt when she grabbed me by the pencil, when she spoke me with the pencil. This was like the one time that honestly I felt like it was an even fight. Nobody won. Everybody kept saying nobody won because we both was fighting just that hard. It was a mess. So I get in the car with Mary King. Now, I wasn't going to finish the story tonight, but I got it bad with the cliffhanger thing. I don't want to do the cliffhanger, but I think this is going to be a series of events that happened while I was supposed to be in school. And it just happened. I can't get it before now, though, but I'm going to go ahead on and spill the beans. Now, what was going on in high school with me. So we get in the car, we get back to the house. My mom looked at my mouth. It's okay. She worried about the spot, but you really couldn't see it because I always wore my hair up in a ponytail, and it was like, I didn't have little braids. I didn't have micros. I had big braids. They was called dookie braids. I had really big braids. My braids was like this, so they was big, and it was in big triangles, and I had it up. It was really cute. But anywho, nevertheless, I got home. So my mom asked me, she was like, what are you going to do? See, because keep in mind, I failed the 7th grade completely. I failed the 7th grade. So that made me 1 grade behind. So when I got ready to go to, for my senior class, I was 18 already. But when I went to 11th grade, I was already 17. I was well into my 17th year. So my mom asked me, she said, what are you going to do? She said, you can't not go to school, Monica, because you got to graduate. So I told her, I said, I'm going to go enroll at Longfellow. So bright and early that Monday morning, I shoot down to Longfellow. Longfellow is right down the street from my mom's house, but it's on Salem Avenue. It's maybe 6 blocks. I go up there, I start enrolling myself. My mom comes up there and she signs the papers. Monica is going to alternative school. I went to alternative school. I could not believe it. Now, alternative was even more funner. It was funner. Because it was something like nothing. These girls had babies. These girls was pregnant. These dudes was, doing their little bad stuff. I'm not going to say what they street pharmacies and stuff like this. Cars had loud systems. They was on 30s and Vogues. Now we get into alternative school. Now we turn it up all the way. It's turned up to 12. It is on 12 at alternative school. I walk in. Now keep in mind, I have been working. So I was neat and clean, had matching shoes and stuff like this. But now I'm coming into myself where people was noticing my little figure and stuff like this. That's when I met my friend Tim. Now, if you've been on my channel, then you know about Tim and his dad. This is where I met Tim at. I met Tim at alternative school. I was in 11th grade. Bill and Dorian also went to alternative school. I don't know why. I think they did it because I was over there, but we all was besties anyway. But this is the series that we're heading into. Now we're going to school, baby. It's going down. Okay, so by us going to alternative school, now I'm not going to start the rest. I'm not going to finish the rest of the story because I got parts to this one, okay? I got parts to this one to the point where I got to tell y'all about, we're going to call her Crave. This is where I met Crave. Her name was Renee. So we're gonna call her Nay. We're gonna call her Riri. And then I met a girl, her name was Naomi. And then that's where Naomi, Dana, no, Dina, it was Dina, it was Crystal, it was me, Robin, and it was a host of us. Now I'm expanding. Now I got women, I got girls that are my friends. And Tamitha and stuff like this. I got stories about Longfellow. Now, I also was still hanging out with Bill. Bill now has a friend named Dorian. Dorian has a friend named David. David had a car, a deuce and a quarter. It was navy blue and it had dark tints. And when I met him, he was listening to Chubb Rock. But nevertheless, I was sitting on my mom's steps. I wasn't on the porch. I was on the steps in front of my mom's house. Now, David and Dorian was riding past my house. David didn't know me, but Dorian did. Dorian rode past and rolled the window down. He seen me sitting outside. And he rolled the window down and he was like, "Get your butt up on the porch." When he said that, I started laughing. He started laughing because we was friends. But then that's when David seen me. And David didn't see me as a friend. David liked me. But David and Dorian was friends. Dorian didn't like that David liked me. But we're going to get into that. But the girls at the school, some of them had babies that was like new babies. And then some of them didn't. But they was all dating. Some of them was dating. Like 3 or 4 of the girls was dating this one dude. We're going to call him Howard. We're going to call him Howard. Howard was one of the popular boys because he's so, you know what I'm saying? But he was like on that. But then it was some other girls named Retta, and she dated this guy. He had like a fancy car, whatever the case may be. But I had home ec with them. And these are the characters these are the people that I'm getting ready to introduce y'all to. So I want y'all to start remembering the names because these people changed my whole trajectory on how I was getting ready to be. Keep in mind, I was always quiet. Monica wasn't quiet no more. Monica was hanging with the crew. Now remember, I told y'all where my mom stayed. Longfellow was up the street. If I went straight up the street and I made a right, if I made a right, I went down Superior. When I went down Superior, remember I told y'all it was some apartments that me, Monique, and Margaret stayed in, and my aunt in the wheelchair stayed in, but we wasn't living there then. We was still young, so the apartments was there, but my baby daddy stayed up the street in the house, in the apartments, the same apartments that I moved to with the so-called babysitter. Okay, but those apartments that was across the street, but it was also some apartments that was like a little further down. But on the right-hand side where I had to walk, there was this guy, and we called him Green Car. The reason why we called him the guy in the green car, we never knew what his name was. But the guy in the green car, he had a friend named Mark. Now, Mark was always older than what we was. And Mark was into martial arts and stuff like this. He was like the Karate Kid. You know what I'm saying? This was Mark, but he was always older. By me being like 17, he had to be like 25. You know what I'm saying? But still, they would drive down the street too and see all the girls on the porch at my mom's house. Because my mom's house sat right in front of the street. So I was walking to school one day. And I noticed the green car because we would always say, "They're the guy with the green car, they're the guy with the green car." But this is how we knew him. Now, keep in mind, the girls that was on the porch was me, Nikki, Monique. It was me, Nikki, Monique, Margaret, Mishi, Sabrina, and it was like a bunch of us that would sit on the porch. But randomly, it would be different people every day. But most of the time, it was the same ones. Now, keep in mind, my stepdad stayed there with my mom. His name is Eric. I haven't even introduced y'all to him. The reason why I'm going through names is so I can remember the story. So I can remember what parts I want to tell. So when I walked past Mark's house, I didn't know him. And one day I walked past them, and the guy in the green car was sitting on his porch. I was on my way to school. And so they were sitting on the porch. It was early in the morning. And when they see me and I walk past, the first thing came out of his mouth was, "You don't walk past nobody's house and don't speak, little girl." Like that, I turned around and looked at him. I was like, "Okay, hi." Like that, he was like, "Hi." But I was really shy. And because it was attention from an older man, which he was like 24, 25, I was like 17, so I was gushing. And so when I got to school, I seen my friend Nay. She had told me, she was like, "Monica, they opening up some apartments," and she had a baby. She said, "Monica, they opening up some apartments off of Gettysburg, and they go on Blueberry. It's a street called Blueberry." Now, keep in mind, y'all got to remember the street on Blueberry. Because you got to remember Blueberry Apartments, that's what it was. Blueberry Apartments. Okay, I promise it's the last part. So, remember I told y'all about the apartments that sat on the corner at Mark's house. Well, that's a four-way stop right there. At the four-way stop, it was some apartments that was across the street, but on the left-hand side of the apartments was another brown building. And in that brown building, remember I told y'all who Monique was with. She was with Bubba. Bubba and his stupid friend Russell was driving in we called it the Green Goblin car. It was a long car, but it was green, it was raggedy. He had even put a little radio in it, just was ridiculous. But he had some friends that stayed in that apartment, and they all had Pontiac 6000s. Now, the Pontiac 6000s, they were all ran together. It was a pink one, a blue one. It was a pink one, a baby blue one, a maroon one, and a black one. But they all was friends, and they all would ride past and do a U-turn in the middle of the street so everybody would see them, or slow down when they came around the corner. But they was also listening to Too Short, Mike G, what is their name? The Ghetto Boys and stuff like this. This is what kind of music they were listening to. Mary J. Blige had just came out. So I thought I heard something. Child, don't let me run out of here. But anyway, that's what they was listening to. Now keep in mind, we didn't know Bubba back then, but we had been seeing Bubba in the neighborhood. He wasn't even dating my sister Monique. Now Margaret, remember I was telling y'all, Margaret used to date the guy that was across the street that was a weed man. She dated him, but then he moved out, and some lady with like 5 boys moved over there, and all the boys was either older than me. They was either older than Monique, in between me and Monique. Some was in between me and Margaret, but some was younger than her. But nevertheless, these are the people that was in the neighborhood. Now, when I get to remember his name that lived across the street that Margaret was dating, I'm gonna start the story on him. But I'm gonna ask her I'm gonna call her tomorrow and ask her what was his name, because she'll remember. But now I'm setting up the neighborhood. Now, y'all already know majority of these people that I'm introducing y'all to, y'all don't know. Someone went to school with me. Now, keep in mind, Nene was quiet. She was brown-skinned, kind of skinny. Not skinny, but medium build. But she didn't take no stuff. But there was this one girl that always had something to say to Nene. And I would tell Nene, like, don't say nothing to her. But I was, like, kind of laid back. I wasn't really loud. But I was hanging with Dorian and Dorian and Bill, because they were still my friends. So they were still in the picture, too. I was getting ready to go to class. Honey, listen, it was so